All right, we got to do it at some point. This is the one. We're doing it. What I like about my... I forgot to set that. What I like about... I said love, didn't I? About my setup. Part 5. It's the keyboard time. All right, I use Glove 80. I haven't tried the Kinesis, but let's just go through all the obvious features, and then I'll talk about strategy for keyboards, at least as far as I understand it right now. Curved key wells, 6 thumb keys on each side. Lightweight, easy to transport, easy to move around. Those 3 things alone, this is the only keyboard out there that has that. It has really good support, has a really good Discord community, it has a bunch of people making a bunch of different things in ZMK, like home row mods and utilities and stuff that you can just copy and paste and use. Very active, like it's everything. It's everything I've ever wanted. Maybe it could be a little more stable. It's a little loosey-goosey. The adjustments on the bottom, not my favorite, but if you do want to mount it on something, you can do that. I don't mount mine because I pick it up and I bring it places. It's got Bluetooth on both sides, and so you can just take it to a coffee shop. LEDs on every key. I mean, it's so good. I actually got one of mine through a company. It's like an ergonomic health thing. So through my health spending account, I got a free one of these. They're not cheap. They also give you a really nice travel case for these if you do need to go to a conference or something and you want to bring it. But let's get into it. Okay, so what did I put on my notes here? You can do it. Before this, a friend gave me for a very low price the Moonlander. Great keyboard, very well made. Not best reviews, please. ZSA, their editor for the keyboard, they have their own editor. It's just really nice and easy to use. I couldn't do it. I tried really hard. The keys really feel nice. The linear layout also, I mean, it's got a lot of the same things, but not curved key wells. It doesn't have the same like supports and the mounts and things. I'd say this is actually better made than the Glove 80. Just feels more solid with the big keys and everything. And maybe this is where Kinesis kind of comes in. But the layout never really worked for me. Having only 4 thumb keys and one that you could like not really hit, you have to like reach way up to get that big red one. It felt like a waste. And then the way there wasn't enough keys in the right place. They had the extra inside keys. I just couldn't. The layout for me, I tried a few different things, and it was such a struggle to move back and forth and try to learn the new layout and try to get it just fitting okay, that it really it made me just not want to do it and throw the whole thing out and go back to a regular keyboard. And I'm sure that is going to happen with a bunch of people with this too. But just to explain the big difference here is, and this is the same with Kinesis too, again, 6 thumb keys that are all relatively easy to hit, right in that range. Curl keys is what I call them. I don't know what they're actually called, but they're extra keys underneath. So you curl your fingers way up and you can hit these extra keys. Those took quite a bit of time to get used to, but once you have that extra muscle memory of, curl keys, you can very accurately hit those. And we'll go over the layout here also. Tons of extra keys just in case I needed some utility things. More or less, I'd never touch the top 2 rows of keys or not very much the side row, except for I have the shift key where the shift key is on a regular layout. So I'll just say the Moonlander was a depressing journey for me. It took a big hit, but I jumped back in because I saw the curved key well. I saw this and I thought, and you could see, it's one of those things where you can feel like, it's almost there. It's like a thing that I could really invest myself in and get into. This is just not the one for me. This was the one for me. And once I started using this, I think you'll see it just kind of fit me really well, which I guess brings brings me to my first sort of philosophical point here, is that switching layouts and keyboards and things around very much depends on you. What my layout, I almost guarantee would never work for another human being on this planet, because it's very much based on my life experience. I grew up learning 10 key. So I really like having a 10 key layer where I can just type, numbers really fast. And so I don't use the top row. I do development with specific tools in specific ways on a Mac with Vim. I'm not like unique in those aspects, but we'll get into it a little bit. And I think you'll see that my layouts are a little bit kooky, but the lesson here is like, once you start learning it and fiddling around with it, and you've trained your mind to be able to switch your defaults relatively seamlessly, and once you've gotten just like, where are the curl keys, where are the top keys, where are the keys in general, because they're linear layout instead. Another thing is, people are afraid that, once I learn this, I can't go type on a regular keyboard. Well, that was surprisingly easy for me. Maybe it's because I switch back and forth so frequently, but I wouldn't be too afraid of that. What I think of this as sort of modal thinking. When I'm in Vim, then Vim also has modes, but when I'm in Vim, I use different patterns of keys, and I might use different keys. Like I use the caret key and the $ key differently. I hit different ones than I would if I was just typing, right? I mean, bad example because I actually do hit the same key, but there are, I have home row mods where I'll hit command in different ways in different programs. When I'm in a browser, I'll use different keys in different ways. So it's okay to not hyper optimize on one single way of hitting a key, or one single way of hitting a modifier. It's okay to be like, now I'm in, my browsing. Now I'm in gaming. Now I'm in coding, and you can have everything. All right, I just want to show this. So this is the factory default for macOS. I guess I should show my keyboard, huh? Let me turn on some lights. This is what it looks like. Curved. It's got the thing. This is what the bottom looks like. I don't know if they're going to come out with new ones anytime soon. They got a black version. All the keys. The only keys I have on there are the home row mods, and the, I guess, space, grave, escape, tab I have on the curl keys. It's a weird layout. I'll get into it a little bit though. We're in for the long haul here. So there's a lot that doesn't work for me on the base layout. I know some people, I think Primeagen uses the base layout, like the factory default layout on the Kinesis, or although he might switch it to Dvorak, I think. But he has like arrow keys. I don't, yeah. This is really hard for me. What is this? Advanced example with home row mods. Oh, I'm glad they put that right on the main page here. So you can just start with an example with home row mods and then modify from there. I like that a lot. Yeah. So I've spent months on this, so I might be talking just over some people's heads here, so I'm sorry about that. But let's get into my layout, and I just want to go through some of the decisions I've made. I have 240. Oh, and I'm not sure this latest one is necessarily my best work here. All right. First decision I made for coding, and also for the idea that when you're scrolling around, you hit Command Shift bracket. But if you don't need the Shift key, if you pull out the brace, it's just Command Brace to like move through tabs. I use that a lot in a lot of different programs. Also, parens and brackets. The first thing that I tried to do is put these on the base layer. So the base layer is like things I'm going to be pressing all the time. Also things that I'm pressing with modifiers a lot. So, Command Shift this, Command that. I want those things on the base layer so that I'm not holding an extra key. So if it's on a different layer, I have to do other layer, also a modifier, also that key, and that is obnoxious. I make one exception to that, and that's arrow keys. That's not true. I make 3 exceptions to that. That's arrow keys, symbols, and numbers. But yeah, like I said, I don't use any of these F keys. I have them up here in case I want to like bind something to them. This is Mac's screen capture. I don't know why I could do without that. I have the volume up here. I have the RGB toggle thing. This is what I bind to in Raycast as sleep. Okay, maybe not, but on most of my computers I do. So this is interesting. Normally parens are on these 2 keys, but look how hard it is to reach these keys. I don't know if you can, the way that the curved layout is, the key here once you get to this row is much higher because your fingers are shorter, right? So if going from this is the middle key to this is much higher. And so it's pretty awkward to actually reach up and try and hit that when I'm doing very often in coding open close brace. One is I don't want to be reaching all the way up. Oh, sorry, actually that's the pinky. Sorry, this is the ring finger. This is the pinky. And so the pinky is much shorter, and so that is a lot higher on the keyboard. So it's easier to reach, and I could reach it, but the pinkies are weak, right? Like my pinky is not, I don't like going all the way up there with my pinky versus these 2 fingers, relatively long. All I need to do to do open close paren is proop, that. Proop. Just these 2 right here, and it's on the base layer. It's so nice. As soon as I had these here, I fell in love with it, and then I tried so many different versions where I put the number keys back, where I have these, you know, under shift or something, and I just couldn't. It just is so nice to not have to press shift to get your parentheses when you're coding. Again, a lot of this is going to be personal preference. Same with these ones. So I have braces, brackets, and this is one of the biggest problems I had with setting this up. Where do I put these things? Where do I put arrow keys? Also, escape and tab were a bit of a bear for me. But I think I've gone back and forth so many times, and this just works for me so nicely. Having these on the base layer just makes all sorts of things with coding. You know, you can reach up, reach down, but that one's but they're on different fingers. It just feels really nice for me. If I know there are quote unquote better layouts. I think there's a Senaku Mo Ergo. This is one of the people who put in, you know, I put in maybe a year. This guy's put in, you know, maybe 5 years, and the real art is his symbols layer. He spent a ton of time making a layer for symbols on the left hand, which I can't bring myself to do. But there's this concept of bigrams and trigrams, and then he has these in other places. I'm still open to like the idea of switching up my setup and giving this a really solid shot and trying to flip it over. But I've gotten so used to mine right now, I just don't have the cycles to do that. Okay, let's talk about home row mods. If there's one regret I have, it's that I kept all of the mods on the thumb keys, on the tops of the thumb keys. Control, Command, GUI is Command, and Alt. And I did that because when you're using, so home row mods, I'll just introduce the topic, is the idea that if you're pressing this, it's an A key, but if you hold it, it's Control. This one, S, but if you hold it, it's Alt. So most people don't put them in this order, but I like this most because Control is on the weakest key, and most of the time I use this Control. I know it's bad reasoning for it, but there are other reasons I'll get into in a minute. This one's Alt, so ring finger is Alt. Middle finger is strongest, so that's Command, because I'm on a Mac, I'm using Command a lot. And Shift, which I use the outer shifts, because that's one of the things that I found switching back and forth with keyboards. If I only use the home row mod Shift, I found it a little more difficult to type fast, just like normal text typing fast on a regular keyboard. So I kept Shift on the outside. which takes a key, and that's kind of shifts some stuff around, but I think that's worth it. I also have shift on the home row key. I'm keeping these for a very specific reason, and that is when I'm on other layers, I keep these around as modifiers to use on those layers. So if I have to hit Command 1, let's just look at my number layer. I have a 10 key pad here where 0 is on the thumb. I have a couple extra things here, J and K for jumping lines in Vim. But look, on this side, it's always direct access to modifiers. So this button is the layer we're seeing right now. So I press that button, I hold this, and then I hold this middle finger, and then I can hit any number, and that's command number. So didn't take much getting used to get that down. I do combos like Control 1, Command 3 a lot to switch, spaces in Arc or Zen browser, and then switch to a specific tab to like jump specifically to those tabs. I never have to lift the numbers layer key. Sorry, this is my number layer. I don't know why I'm pointing at this one. This is my number layer. So I never have to lift that key, and then I just do Control 1, Command 3. And with all these, my strategy is when I find myself doing something and I figured it out, I do it back and forth 5 times in a row, just like focusing all my attention on that one movement. Where are my fingers? How does it feel? What does it feel like? How does it go? And once I've done it 5 times and then I'm doing it throughout the day, it really settles into the brain pretty nicely. So that's why I keep home row keys around. So going back to one of my biggest mistakes, I think, was not fully embracing home row mods. Now I know some people, the problem with home row mods is as you're typing fast, how does the keyboard know whether or not you're doing a hold or a tap? If you're doing Command V, right? K, which is for me K, hold K, V, or C, right? Copy and paste very quickly. You're gonna end up typing KV if you do it too fast. There's a slight pause when you use home row mods, so you just have to work that into your brain. And when I first discovered this, I was like, no, I can't do that. I have to have the direct access to the direct modifier because I don't want to pause. I don't want to be slow. I want to be as fast as humanly possible. That now I see as a mistake. One, because home row mod timing and just the firmware has gotten much better so that it's much more accurate and the pause is barely noticeable. You can type very fast even with the shift key here. There are very complex, interesting things behind these particular home row mods that I'm using. I'm using the ones from Sunaku. The default ones may be even better. I might look at switching those. But they do things like if you're hitting 2 keys on the same keyboard or you're going across, the delay is different because you're less likely or you're more likely to be using it as a modifier. Because you wouldn't use, to hit Command E, I wouldn't use this one. I would use this one because it's across. Yeah. Home row mods are really nice and smooth once you get used to them. And it's really nice to do combos, Command Shift. I'm just like holding down these two and you're not moving your fingers at all. It's just beautiful. Command Shift, Alt Shift. It's nice. It's good. I barely actually use these top ones anymore. I'm trying to think the situation where I do. I think it's probably just old habits. So I might end up start switching these really important, thumb keys over to other, maybe make new layers or something. This is one of the other problems I ran into is that this keyboard has so many keys. You'll see I'm barely using, I have a bunch that are just empty. And I think if you don't need them, don't use them because you might want to downsize your keyboard at some point, get one of those little corn ones or something like that. But it's nice, I guess, to have those extra keys. So this is an interesting one. If I'm using the mouse in a graphical thing like Figma or something, and I want to be able to grab the screen, the grabbing tool and move it around, that's space on almost all programs like that. That's you hold space and you drag. Well, space is on my right hand, and my right hand is in the middle here using my mouse. So I can't hit space and drag at the same time. So what did I do? I just threw space here because I wasn't using that key for anything else. I don't know what else I would put there. And it's literally only for that. It's for that one purpose where I need to hit space while I'm in a program dragging something around. I don't know if it even is, here it doesn't use space, but yeah. And then you can make a bit of art here. You can do some beautiful things. So like tab and grave are opposites when you're scrolling through programs, like command tab, grave, goes back and forth. Grave is just backtick slash, that's the tilde button that's usually up here. So like I have those right sort of symmetrical right here in line, and that's kind of nice. Escape, I had a really hard time figuring out where to put it. A lot of people put it here. Some people put it here. I hit this all the time in Vim, and I forget the other places I tried. I think I put it up here at one point. And this wasn't the easiest to get used to because I also, the most common pattern is escape to get out of insert mode, and then leader W is what I use to save. So like that was a little bit off. And so it took me a while to get used to this. The ones that are initially harder, if you're going with some philosophy, the keys that you're binding that are initially harder and you're like questioning, you can trust that eventually you will get there, almost no matter what how awkward it is. I'll show you the weird one in a second for me, but almost no matter how weird it is, if you are sort of more values and philosophy driven, I think you need to be honest and have a balance there. But I think you can get there eventually. So like it took me quite a while to get escape in my muscle memory, and now it's there, and now it's fine. I don't have any problems with it being there now. Okay, so other sort of beautiful art things that I've done here. So this is my Command, Alt, Shift, Control, and then this is a mod tap. A mod tap is the same idea as a home row mod. So when I'm holding, it does. This is a hyper key, so all of the modifiers. And if I tap it, it's enter. Now it's weird that if you try to use a normal mod tap, so mod tap type is MT. If you try to use a normal mod tap instead of these home row mod timers, it doesn't work at all. It's like very bad, very bad experience. But when I use it with enter, I've never once had a problem where I was trying to hold it and it did enter versus I was trying to enter and it held. I've never had a problem with this setup. So I guess it's something with just how I use enter, and I'm probably pausing before hitting enter and I'm very deliberate. I use this all the time to bounce between programs using Raycast with the, in here, the settings. Is it not Command Shift S? Oh, it's Command Shift comma. I set, if like all of the programs that I use frequently, so browser and Kitty terminal. So I hit hyper A and hyper W to directly index and bounce between programs. I have a different video about that sort of idea of bouncing directly to things. I was talking about some of the art things, some of the interesting things. This layer 3 is symbols, which is very important, especially for when I'm in Vim. It's basically all the things that are under 1 through 9, usually on the top, but I don't want to have to reach all the way up there. So instead I hold this key. So the reason I put it on the middle, this is the easiest one to hit. These two are by far, in my opinion, the easiest thumb keys to hit. So backspace, hitting that all the time. Space, hitting that all the time. I use the Mac Emacs, like built-in Mac shortcuts a lot for things like, if you have, if you want to delete forward, you can bind in your layout a specific key to delete forward delete, but on any Mac, or you can use Control D, and it does the same. So you also like Control P goes up a line, Control N goes to the next line, Control F goes forward, Control B goes back. So like you can use a lot of these. Control D is the one that I use the most. So I never actually put that. I know a lot of people like put it here. So it's like backspace and then forward delete. Maybe I'll do that actually. Now that I'm not using these as much. But anyway, this sort of cluster of keys right here are the easiest to reach with the thumb, and so I'd put the most important things here. The most important one for me is directly jumping to programs and symbols. Symbols are huge. So there's a few things I like about my symbols. There's actually quite a few things, but this is not going to make a lot of sense unless you're more into Vim. But $ is end of line. This is beginning of line. These are sort of my bigrams. So like big arrow, this to this small arrow, and Boolean operation or Boolean operation. I have the / right under the base layer backslash, which I like. Beautiful. This is, so I have single quote, shift, this is double quote, and symbols, that is backtick, right? So all my quotes are on one key. I like that. I like that, and I thought that I would like having all of these on one key too, or, you know, the parens, the brackets, and the braces all in two, but like those are, I'm typing way too much and I need those right away. These I don't actually use. What else is interesting here? Oh yeah, so star in Vim is like find the next instance of the current word that you're on. Forget what I'm using hash for a lot. Oh, actually this is Control-6, which is control that key, and that is how you bounce to the previous program in Vim. So I actually do use that one a lot. This is just cycling through tabs, which I don't really use that one there. I would use that from the base layer. Underscore % is on the P key. Nah, it's fine. I don't know why this is here. I don't think I've ever hit colon there. Why is that there? I don't know why that's there. But what I do want to figure out, so something I started doing recently is using Gleam, and in Gleam you use the pipe operator, so it's pipe greater than. This pipe key is right on top of the greater than key, but I have to hit layer pipe and then shift, same key, and it's like, it's too much. So I might just throw another little greater than key here, so I can very quickly do just like get my pipe operator there. I could reach up to this one, but that's again same finger and far up and farther up. It's like not very comfortable. Actually, let me try that. Yeah. I don't like that. I mean, again, I could get used to it, but like you can also just, I have extra keys everywhere. Why not do it? All right, let's get to the crazy. Jumps, I don't use any of that. I was like experimenting with an extra layer because I have these extra keys. And Magic is just their base key. This is just comes with it. It's how you do all the Bluetooth setup, and these are all for the LEDs and the modes and stuff. Okay, arrows. Let's talk about arrows. The default layer arrows, if I go to the default layout, this is, I think, is the same as on the Kinesis. Up and down here, left and right here. I don't know how, I don't know. I don't understand. So what I do a lot is, you know, left, right, command left, right to jump to the end of the line, alt, left and right to jump by word, alt shift to highlight, command shift to highlight the entire thing. That's the gist of my my complaint. So like, how would you do alt shift arrow here? Alt, this one, alt shift, and then arrow? It's insane. And then, okay, and then you're doing command arrow. So then you're going up arrow, and then you're doing, and then what if you want up? You know, you're doing multiple lines. You want to also keep holding shift, and then press the up arrow. That's on the other hand. This drove me so nuts. So if you're a person who navigates around using the arrow keys in text, I don't know how you would ever get there with the arrow keys like this. I don't understand it. I mean, I know there are a lot of people that go really, really fast with this layout, but this made no sense to me. I guess you have end. You do shift end and shift home instead of Command Shift Arrow. I don't know. This doesn't make sense to me. So, but then look what I did. So I have 2 here. So I actually this is where like your caps lock key is on your normal keyboard, which before I got this keyboard, I used Carabiner Elements to remap caps lock key to something very similar to this. So I've been using this actual same sort of setup for a long time. What I had was caps lock is the control key, so I don't have to find, I don't even know where the control key is on a normal keyboard. It's like way under the shift key. I never hit control there. I've had caps lock as my control key for a very long time. So it's interesting that I don't have it on this keyboard because I don't actually need it that much because I have other control keys. So that's another one of those things where I'm just like switching modes back and forth. So I have, this is, with Carabiner, the other thing that I did was I mapped a control, but then I mapped HJKL to the arrow keys, like in Vim. Okay, so on a regular keyboard, on my Mac, on my Mac, I have a work MacBook and a home MacBook. On regular keyboards, HJKL with the caps lock key are my arrows. That's how I do arrows. Kind of, sometimes, not all the time. They also has the little arrow pad in the bottom. So my arrows layer is this thing right here. I'm reaching my pinky out and then hitting these keys. So if I want to do Alt Shift arrow keys, I'm doing a little bit of a claw, but it's all in line. So I'm reaching my pinky out, hitting this, holding this, and then doing the normal HJKL arrow keys from Vim, which I'm very comfortable and used to. So you could do it. You could do a similar thing, and you could do like a little 3 thing here, like a other keyboard. But it's important to have all these easy to hit these. So like doing control arrow keys for me is very difficult. I have to hit here, then I have to hit this control because I don't have this one because my pinky's already over here, and I'm not going to shift my whole hand over, and then arrow keys. But like I don't think I ever use control arrow keys. I don't think that's a thing. So not a big deal for me. Command left and right, really easy, really good. Now here's the sweetness, the beautiful thing about this setup. As soon as you get used to hitting this and just plain arrow keys, right? So if you don't need the modifiers, say you're in a terminal and you want the previous command, you want to hit up. You barely move your pinky and then you hit this key. You're moving one tiny half an inch and that's it. And you up is just right there. Up, down, left, right, like all these things are just right there. You're barely moving your hands, and it's just beautiful. As soon as I get used to that on my regular keyboard, I was like, yes, this is something that I'm carrying over. And so this is why my layout. That's probably the weirdest thing about my layout, is that there's no arrow keys on the base. You have to go to a layer to hit arrow keys. A little bit nutty, I have to say. And I've been thinking about other ways to do this where I could have a full layer. So instead of MO, you have to hold down the key to activate the layer. And as soon as you let go, the layer goes away. You can also have like these sticky layers. So I could turn this into like, go to a new keyboard layout that's for editing text where the arrow keys are right here or here, or I don't know where exactly, but maybe up here, whatever. Just so that they're somewhere else on the base layer so that I'm much faster and I don't need to do this weird claw thing to edit my text. Sure, maybe I'll try for that. And again, when I'm in the terminal, I want to hit up. I could still have that. I can still keep this. I just have an extra layer here that's like a layer that I jump to when I'm in a Google Doc or whatever, just editing text and bouncing around. I haven't. I think that's an extra level, an extra layer of like putting in a little bit even more time. And I just wanted to get fast with something, and I'm already 200 some layers in. So that's my deal with arrows. That's my deal with these. The number pad we saw. The This is 4. This is jumps. Okay, I don't even use this key. Like one of my primary keys that I can use. I don't even use that key. I use, this is interesting. This is KT. That means it's kind of key toggle, so it's sticky. So it's like caps lock, but it's shift, so it kind of applies differently. And it's toggling shift. Some people do the thing where if you hit both shift keys, it activates caps lock and you can hit both again. It's kind of nice. But I had this extra thing here, and then, I don't know, feels fine to just reach up a little bit with your pinky. I don't do all caps that often. What else? So this has been a huge journey. If you do get a keyboard, I would say make sure that it's not too ephemeral. That, some of these build your own Dactyl or whatever sets, Dactyl maybe is a bad example, but if there's not a good community built up around it and there's not a lot of people contributing to it, if it's not like well supported and, they have the case, they have the things, this Moergo is so good. The Discord community has been so invaluable to like figure out all these things. If you run into an issue with, you're like formatting your thing and something's not working or it's not compiling or something, you don't want to just be like stuck for days without being able to like quickly modify it and iterate on it. And this is a pretty good UI for it. So like Moonlander has great stuff, really good software. Again, I think better software, better hardware, but I mean the curved key wells. There's a lot about the Glove 80 that they just got so good, so right. I think that's it. Feels like I've been talking forever, but also like not very much at all. Yeah, I would say it's a journey. And this is the other thing. This one, TikTok. Try to be on TikTok as much as possible, and by that I mean time in keyboard, time on keyboard. So you have time on keyboard is just typing. Time in keyboard is in your editor, figuring it out, making it good. This is, I think, another thing that the Primeagen said that I'm stealing in my brain, and that is that productivity often is more a factor of if you're enjoying things, because you'll find all these like interstitial moments throughout your day where you just effortlessly go back to the thing that you were enjoying, right? And you kind of can very easily jump back onto your desk and start typing and doing coding and stuff again, because it's so fun with Vim and with this keyboard and with my own little setup and all my funky little arrow keys and everything. It's nice and exciting, and it's fun. It's not like a chore. It's not like a job. And I think more than any other like productivity hack, it's just the time spent on the keyboard, and the reason I'm spending it is because I'm enjoying it, is a bigger productivity boost than any other thing that I've tried. So yeah, productivity is not just about doing the right things at the right times and like following some pattern or following some book. It's like, if you're enjoying it, you're just going to spend more time. It reminds me of the thing of, there was a study about exercise, right? Where people on an unhealthy diet in America burn about the same calories as people from some village where they run all the time, like all day long. And you think, oh, they're running all day long, they'd be burning a lot more calories. But the body, one, the metabolism of the body kind of adjusts. And two, you throughout the day, if you're not getting good exercise, your body finds these ways to like be more anxious and nervous and like burn calories in different ways. And it finds all these interstitial places to like make up that time. So point is, if you're enjoying something, I think there's more time in the day like crammed in there than you realize. And a lot of that is spent just like taking more time going to like grab snacks or like play games or do different things, where it could be spent coding, but that's only going to happen. It's only going to feel good and be productive and like sustainable if you've put in this effort to kind of like make it a really nice, enjoyable custom thing. And I love the name Glove 80 because I've made it fit like a glove specifically to my hand. I don't expect anybody out there. I'll post my layout in the description, but I don't expect anybody else to be able to use it out of the box because it is. Yeah, I get that it's a little nutty, but it's mine. It's my nutty. All right. I don't know how long that was, but that was a big one. I will see you all for the next one.